All right, okay, so
Hello.
we are back here on the toolbox. Do you see something different on the toolbox this time?
Can you scroll down? Is it the images?
No,
No.
the images are still the same.
What is it then?
All right, it's the URL. The URL
You
is
bought
different.
a domain.
I bought a domain. I was
Nice.
thinking about using ooze.jhu.edu
Yeah.
or use ooze.cs.jhu.edu.
Yeah.
But then it was a lot of bureaucracy and forms to fill, and I wouldn't get as much control over the domain. So we have an organization called JUnit.
Yeah. Might as well get a domain reflecting that.
JUnit.com. That's it. And if you looked carefully on the previous episodes, you saw that I was looking at localhost here.
Yeah.
The toolbox was running on my computer. Well, now we have a domain, and that's the website you're going to be using to watch this video right now, I believe. But there is a problem. On the previous episode, the package name was based on the domain I was considering getting.
We thought we were going to be doing something. Okay.
Yeah. And this is a great opportunity to show how IntelliJ helps us refactor code. Because we want to change this name. We don't have to, but it would be nice to do it. So
it's in convention with how Java works.
Yeah.
So might as well.
But the problem is, it's not just changing the folder name. We also have to change
in files.
in all the files. It's only one.
But if you have like a small scale or a large scale thing, it's just tedious. I don't want to do it, especially with a text editor and renaming stuff on terminal or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just better to use IntelliJ here.
But it happens that IntelliJ helps us do this.
Yeah.
So if we come here to refactor, there is a rename refactoring. It's not just a simple rename of the folder.
Itself. Yeah.
It is also being smart enough and updating this package name everywhere.
Yeah.
And then the name is
com.jhuose.
Unfortunately, I can't put a dash.
Nah, not a valid character.
And I thought it would be nice to pretend that we have a subdomain for our application, like TODOOSE.
Oh, yeah, we can do that.
When we deploy this on a later episode, we may deploy this to this domain. Why not?
Could be.
Yeah, it would be easy to do that because I own this domain, so I can set up the subdomain, and we can even show how to do the DNS to set this up.
Configurations, yes.
Anyway, so we have this pretend domain that will be available later.
Later, yeah. Then you can just do TODOOSE, yeah.
But let's call it TODOOSE. And you can see that it renamed the package, but also renamed the package in the files.
Import, yeah. And you have an empty folder that you have to delete, but I think that's a lot less effort than going through the pain of renaming everything manually.
Yep. Okay, so we did something that changed files in the project, so we need to commit.
Yeah.
We are already on the right branch.
Yes.
That's where we left off on the previous episode. And yeah, commit message, refactor package name. That's exactly what we are doing. I just typed it really fast. Not off camera, just really fast. You weren't watching. Anyway.
There's a shortcut. There's a keyboard shortcut.
To do just this commit message.
That's all.
Yeah, and it appears that while it was renaming the package, it also got rid of an import that wasn't being used. Fine by me. Okay, commit. And push. We can come here to version control system, git push.
We're on the right branch, so we can just
go ahead and do
work with it.
Yep. Yeah. And now it's there on GitHub. Right here on the create new item branch. Yeah. Refactor package name, it's right there. So we can create a pull request and merge it, and we'll be done.
Yes. And then we can go on with what we're supposed to do next.
Yes, create pull request, which I am going to immediately accept.
We know what we did.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then delete the branch. And locally,
also,
we go to master.
Master.
Check out.
And then delete. You have to go to git.
I'll also come here and synchronize. I think that is this synchronize button here is going to GitHub and getting the latest change. We can check that No, it appears that it doesn't do that. So
You
I have to
pull,
I have to come here and pull.
I think update project might do it, but yeah, you have to pull.
Pull, yes, sir.
Okay.
Some things were updated, some things are changed.
Yes.
I'll find, close, no changes. We do have the new package name.
Yes. That's what we want.
And we can get rid of that
The useless
branch.
Branches.
Create new branch and delete. And delete the tracked branches. Oh,
that's all.
Okay. Now we are ready to work on the front end.
Finally. As much.
The front end is the client, the thing that is running in the browser. First order of business, we have to get the front end to the client somehow. So we have to give the HTML and the CSS and the JavaScript to the browser.
Okay.
Well, how do we do that? Well, we say that the server is going to serve the client
HTML
code to the client. So here we have a server that is doing some things for the API, like /items and get and post. Those are all things that we were testing in Postman.
Yes.
And that's going to be part of our application, but we also have to provide the JavaScript that is going to use this instead of Postman in the end,
so
in the browser.
A UI that we can see, not just typing in Postman requests.
Yes.
Okay.
And to do that, we need to look up the Javalin documentation.
And see how it's done?
Yes.
One-page documentation. Pretty sure it's easy to find. That's
web server, Javalin, read the documentation. And I think that they call it static files.
Yes.
Enable static files. Okay. Static files, perfect. So there is a section in the documentation just about this. And it appears that there are multiple ways of doing this. But probably we can use the simpler one. There is the simplest one, and then there is this other one. I think that we can start with this one, which is the simplest. It's just looking some folder in the class path.
I think that's standard. Like that's something that you can relate to how folder structures work, actually.
Yeah. So the class path folder
will be the folder that we have for the like HTML template.
Exactly. That's where we are going to put our HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And there are many folders in the class path. But there is a specific one that is better suited for this kind of thing that we are doing. And it's this resources
folder, yes.
Yeah, a class path is where Java looks for files.
Yes.
Usually it looks for classes. So when you compile a Java file, you get a .class file like so. So here, these files are in the class path. And in this case, we don't exactly have a class. We have some JavaScript and HTML.
Files,
but still, it's going to be in the class path. And there is this resources folder exactly for this kind of thing that is not exactly a Java class. So here we can create a new folder. We are going to create a folder in the class path. And it's going to match this name.
Okay,
so we can call it public, for instance, because those are files that are public as opposed to Java files, which are private to the server. I mean,
I wouldn't want to release API.
Yeah, exactly.
Think of it that way.
In the browser, we want to be able to get HTML, but we don't want to be able to get Java files. We will get the data that the server is providing as JSON, but that's another story. We don't want to get the Java file itself. So that's public as opposed to the Java parts that are private. And here we can create a folder. So I bet that there is some new folder thing, new directory. And we call it public. And these names match. This name matches this name. And this enables the static files out of this folder. So now, let's create a file here, an HTML file. And if we are smart about the name of this file, then Javalin will do some magic for us. By convention, if you call a HTML file index.html,
It's the first file that they pick up.
Yes.
Yeah.
When you go to localhost port 7000 is the one we are using.
Yes.
Currently, we are not running the server.
Right now,
yeah, so the website cannot be reached. But remember that when we do this, we saw this on a previous episode, we are actually calling /.
Yes.
And Javalin knows that if there is a file called index.html,
yeah.
it can be served
at slash. Yes.
at /.
Yes.
It's just
so
a convention.
This is the same with PHP. I recommend you don't touch PHP, but yeah.
It's the same with Apache, Nginx,
yes.
Caddy, all the web servers.
Yes, all of the web servers look for index files.
Yes, it's a convention that has been around since time immemorial.
Thankfully.
So you create this HTML file, and let's give it the name TODOOSE. This title is what appears in this part of the tab.
So when you run the server, it should go away.
And we can say hello, Yash, right here in the body.
I see it's becoming a recurring phrase now.
Yes.
Okay.
And this is an HTML file.
Yes.
And then if we run the server now, we should get this HTML file on the client. I hope, I suppose.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. Let's see.
So server should be up.
It is starting.
It takes like 3 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Let's see. Enabling static files must be done before starting the server. Interesting. Okay. So this line
goes before app.get.
Not only that, it comes before start.
Oh.
Interesting, right?
Yeah.
So here's what we can do. We can move this to here.
App.start.
So it will only start after everything.
Yeah, okay. That's a good idea, actually. I don't want stuff to start before you define everything.
Yeah, I mean, you can imagine that for a fraction of a second, the server could have started without the API defined. I don't think that would really happen. You could observe that, but yeah, anyway.
Trivial.
Oh, right. Okay, so try again.
Restart. Let's see.
Okay, everything started. And there is a new line here.
Yes.
A new log line talking about static files. Let's read it. Static file handler added to path public in location class path, absolute path. This is the absolute path.
That looks correct.
Does it?
It does.
Build, let's see. Build, resources main public index. Oh, right. The file is there.
After compilation, that's where it goes.
So now we can try this again.
Refresh,
and hello, Yash, and TODOOSE here on the title bar.
That's exactly what we wanted. That was easy to start.
So we have HTML.
Yes.
And we also want, okay, let's go to the toolbox. On the client, we are using
JavaScript,
HTML and CSS for the user interface.
Yeah.
But we are using a library to build the user interface. Fair. Why are we doing this? We could just write the user interface right here. We could start writing the to-do app right here.
I'm sorry, but I don't have, so it's too much effort to do it. I think we should just go with a JavaScript library. There's a lot of stuff that we might actually not be able to do it in HTML and CSS, and which is why we need JavaScript there.
Yes.
Dynamic components.
Exactly. That's the main point. I mean, if you think about a page like this, this is a static page.
Yeah, it's not doing anything, right?
Yeah. And this page I am writing without JavaScript. I'm not using a user interface builder. I'm just going with HTML and CSS, pure HTML and CSS. Yeah. The kind of HTML I wrote right here.
Yeah, just saying hello, Yash.
That kind of HTML. That's what I'm doing for a static web page like the toolbox. But this app, it has dynamic components. The items are created, they are edited.
And you're getting data from a server. You always need that. That takes priority over everything.
Yeah, I'm getting data from the server and the data is always changing.
Yes.
So I don't want to write HTML right here. I could, and then I could write some layers of JavaScript to manipulate that HTML, but that's a lot of work.
Yes, exactly.
So there is a library called React to do that dynamic user interface building. When the data changes on the server, we are going to see that change on the client.
Yep.
And we have to do less work to make all this happen.
A lot less work, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we want to use React.
Yeah.
And
Yay
let's
for
see how
Facebook
to get
money.
it. There are multiple ways to get React into our project. We are going with the simplest and probably the worst. It's the easiest to set up.
That's optimistic.
It's the easiest to set up, but it's a very bad idea if you want to build a real web app for people to use in the wild. We are doing this here because we are going to cut some corners. If you want to get a real app for real users, there is a more complicated build system. Besides Gradle, which we are using to build on the server, there is a more complicated build system on the client as well. Okay. And you can see this create new React app.
Okay.
That we'll use that. It's called Webpack. It's a whole different story. We are going to go with the simplest thing that we can do in 1 minute.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's good enough for this app. It will probably be good enough for most people that are starting out.
Okay.
And
do you want to time it? If it works only in 1 minute?
All right, okay. We have 1 minute to do this.
I can look at the time, don't worry. I got you.
Okay, 1 minute to do this. Okay, I'm setting the timer, 1 minute. This is what we need to do. We need to copy these tags into HTML right here. It's good. We also need to copy another tag that is further down this page.
Yes.
At the end. And there you go. We have installed everything, and we still have 30 seconds to go. So we better explain what we did. We better explain what we did.
Yes.
So these scripts tags are loading React from a server somewhere.
They've stored the actual setup.
Yeah. So there is a library in JavaScript. This is JavaScript code hosted somewhere on the web, and we are importing that.
Yep.
Now, there are some upsides and downsides to doing it this way, but I don't have time to explain that before the timer goes off. There you go. End of time.
It was still pretty fast.
We got React installed.
20 seconds.
We got React installed. Yeah. But there is a problem with this setup. I don't really like it.
Okay.
Because if we are offline,
we're screwed.
Yeah, suppose I'm working on my project on a plane, and then I can't do it. So I think it's a nice idea to download
and keep it somewhere,
JavaScript files. So I will go ahead and download them. And I'll download them to the project folder, to the right place. Okay, so let's go to Idea Projects, TODOOSE, Source, Main, Resources, Public.
And that's why you need that.
We may just create a folder for JavaScript.
Maybe.
I don't know.
It depends. Like this really depends on how people want to set up their projects.
Yeah. I'll create a folder here to organize all the JavaScript files in one place.
Okay.
And I'm calling this React Development JS, fine by me, save. Then there is another one.
React DOM Development.
Yes, we'll go over what these things are in a moment.
I think that's important.
Yeah, I don't know why it's putting .css on the end of the name. It should be a JavaScript file.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why it's doing that, but
it is so here it's a JavaScript file. It's just that I don't know, something's happening with saving.
Yeah, maybe Safari is going crazy over things. And here there are two versions of Babel, and in the React documentation it had a snippet, I copy and pasted. That was the minified version. Let me show you the minified version. This is JavaScript code that is hard to read, but it's short.
Really? Is it hard to read? I didn't notice.
Some would argue that all JavaScript code is hard to read. But this one is particularly hard because it has been minified. Because if you're working over the network, you want to have your files
small files.
Small as possible.
Yes.
But I don't like reading that, so I'm going to go with the full version. The full version is still hard to read, but it's
a lot cleaner. I think that's a good choice.
That's the one I'm saving, so babel.js.
But you need to change something here as well.
Yeah, yes, here I need to change this to be JavaScript.
Yeah. Resources/JavaScript.
Ah, good catch. Okay, no, I don't need the resources here. You can see that I put index.html under resources directly.
Yeah.
Resources public, and then HTML sits right in there.
Okay.
So here in this
So
part, we are
public
already
becomes
putting
here,
the
yes.
public part.
Public becomes your home path.
Public becomes the root.
Yeah, the root of the path. Yeah.
The root of the project. The root of the client part of the project. So the index.html lives here, the JavaScripts live here, but in the JavaScript, in the HTML itself, I'm referring to the root of the project from then on.
Yes, right.
So here okay, let's break this apart. When I say enable static files, it expects something in the class path.
Yes.
The class path is resources. That was set by IntelliJ back when we created the project.
Yep.
This thing was already there when we created the project. So this part is the class path. Then from the class path on, we need to say the root of the project.
Yeah.
The root of the client part of the project is public. Yeah. And then from there, in the HTML, that's where we put our URLs for the rest of the files. So if I save this and...
no min.
Oh, yeah, right. Good catch. Okay, so if I save this, and now let's see what happens. I will not refresh the server. I want to see what happens. I don't know what will happen. I can come here to View and Developer Tools, and we can see that there is no scripts here. Yep. I will refresh, and there are still no scripts here. Yeah. So we need to refresh the server.
Yeah. So whenever you change code, you restart the server, right?
Whenever you change the code, you restart the server. Yeah. But there is a trick, and I'll try to make this work. Let's see if I can get it right. So in the Javalin documentation, there are two ways to include static files. The other one was this with the location external thing.
What's the difference?
The difference is that this is for when you deployed the thing. So when you come here and rebuild the project, it's going to rebuild this build directory and redeploy. You can see, in fact, you can see that there are no JavaScripts here. So if I click here and redeploy, there will be some JavaScripts here because the thing is rebuilding.
I don't think it builds anything.
Well, it should put the JavaScripts here if it wants to serve the JavaScripts. Let's see what happens if I refresh the browser here. Is it going to work?
It does.
Are the JavaScripts there? Yeah, the JavaScript is there. But I was expecting to see the JavaScripts here. Oh, they are here. It was just a matter of waiting. Okay, so anytime we hit refresh here, it goes here and rebuilds the whole file. And in this case, building means just copying it to the right page. But it's putting this in the build directory every time. That's what this kind of import is doing. Okay? It's using in the class path. But there is this other place, this other way of importing static files using location external. And in this kind, we can come here and we can say like public and import local. It's importing some Javalin thing for location of static files. But then this is copying from here, from the source. Yeah. And later on another episode, we will want to deploy this to some server. And when we deploy, we will want to get the files from here. But during development, we want to get the files from here. Okay. And if we do this right, then we can work on the front end without having to restart the server every time, which is a convenience thing. Yeah, that's a really good. And then when we deploy it, it will try to look for the source, but it won't find it because the deployed version will only have the build. Yeah. But it will work fine because it will find using this line. Okay. I am not sure this is how you write it, though. I think.
Let's see. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, I think this will fail, and I don't really have a good way of testing this. So I'll just restart the server, and when I restart the server,
there it goes.
Yeah, it will complain about the path, I suppose. Yeah, the directory doesn't exist. So I think the reason is I have to be explicit and say from source on. Source
main.
Source
main. That's resources. That's it.
Public. And then I'll try again. And if this doesn't work, I'll give up the trick.
You scroll up, but you never started it.
Oh, this compiled.
Oh, so you pressed that after.
Yeah. I pressed it here because the server wasn't running, so I couldn't restart it. So I pressed the button here, and this path doesn't exist, so maybe I got some part of it wrong. I remember last time I did this, I had to try until I got it right. And
it's the same thing.
Yeah, I think there is a way to get to make this work, but I just don't know how. So yeah, I'll give up on this trick for now. I'll come back to it later.
Yes.
So just leave this as a comment for now. Yeah. For now, we'll just restart the server every time. And we have a way to work on the client. Yeah. And we have the library here. We still have to explain what all these three different things are, but we'll do that in due time on the next episode when we start working on the front end and using the libraries.
Okay.
But everything is set up and good to go. All right.
You're missing something again.
I should commit, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now I'll do it on fast forward. I already know that.
New branch though.
Oh, fair. Yes. Version control system, Git branches.
New branch.
New branch, and this is going to be start client.
Yeah.
And
client
here,
initial code.
Add
client starter code.
Commit. Oh, there are still some unversioned files that I forgot to check. I'll check all of them. Yes, I want all of them. Add React part 2. Commit. It's trying to analyze the code.
Oh, no.
From the dependencies. JavaScript. That may take a while. I'm canceling it.
I think it'll analyze no matter what.
No, I can uncheck this box. And commit. And push to the new branch. And we are out of here. See you on the next one.
Yeah.